Hey everyone, here we are for the next build for Hardcore League Season 9, based on the Baldur's Gate characters that we've been doing. This one is Gale of Waterdeep, the Wizard of Renown, who in my head when Gale speaks, because he wants to eat all of your magic items, I always hear him speak like,
"Hi, I'm Gale, and I'm going to eat all your magic items."
But that's me. He's actually a really good character. You're probably thinking, hey, Gale, he is a wizard of renown. He should be an archmage. And they just refreshed the archmage tree. However, I'm going to clue you guys in on a secret. Archmage still sucks. That's the secret. So we're not going to use it because it's complete garbage. So what we are going to do, where you will wind up and how you get there, it's very important to understand because Wizard is very squishy and it will require, you can do it, this is great, works, but it requires us to sort of bend reality a little bit. So we are going to take advantage of one of the best things that wizards have and make ourselves into an undead lich. That's not a super far stretch from the canon, because in Baldur's Gate, there is a book, The Necromancy of Thay, that you can find and read. Give it to Gale and he'll read it. You can also make him a necromancer. And eventually, he probably would become a lich. So this isn't that far out of his wheelhouse. This also gives us access to a pet, the Skeletal Knight, which you can use to pull levers. You can use it to soak damage. We won't be using it for the purpose of this video, but it's really nice to have for Hardcore League. We, of course, are taking advantage of how incredibly useful the Swiss Army knife of Fadark Illusionist is for the Hardcore League. We get a bunch of things. You get access to a weapon, you get more mana, you get immunity to magic missiles. If you go 3 into this, you get immunity to fear, which we eventually will. It's just in order to get the spread where we needed it for this level 7 demonstration. So I just want to sort of go over, like, we are in Eldritch Knight right now, and we probably will be at least until you hit like around level 12. But you may stay in Eldritch Knight just to give you the ability to swing your weapon and do some damage, to be able to kill stuff, because without this, you're stuck to doing only spell damage. And what happens is, because the wizard cast time is so slow and the wizard mana pool is so low, you can run out of mana, especially if you're soloing content. And then you'd be stuck. You wouldn't be able to do anything. So we use Eldritch Knight, not a lot of it, but we're using it to get this core tier 2 that gives us the Imbue spell sword, so we can swing a weapon, we can swing our stick and actually do some damage. I'm not against even going to core tier 3, because that would give us a reduced arcane fail on our armor. It would give us a bit more universal spell power, and it probably would also allow you to grab this improved shield, although we don't need it because we have You've Got My Back, but it would give us more PRR to use that. You could also, since we are wand and potion healing ourselves, you could put points into wand and scroll mastery. That is also really helpful on this build. And then Arcane Barrier is probably one of the most useful skills to have in Eldritch Knight, where it pops an arcane shield on you if your hit points go below 50%. And that is sort of like a wake up. If something happens to you and you see that arcane shield pop, you know that you need to move and boogie and get out of there. But once we hit level 20, we're going to be 41 points in this tree, 31 points in this tree, and then we will still have like a few points in this tree here, but you can obviously modify this. You may love Eldritch Knight and not want to go up deep into Fadark. I believe that having this free extend is very useful on a wizard. You know, you always could skip it and sort of put your points more in here. And then another viable build that I've seen, although that's not what we're doing here, is to put 31 points in this tree here. But I think that Fade Arc is stronger for the way that I play, and that's what the build is going to be focused on here. The greatest thing in this tree, obviously, one of the reasons that we're in here in the first place is to get Color Spray, which is a CC. We will have a couple of CCs. We have Web, we have Color Spray, and we have a few other spells that we can pick up as we go up and add to our CCs. Like we would be able to get the Dancing Ball, we would be able to get Otto's Irresistible Dance. But for now, I have not scribed any spells. I'm just going with what spells I got during spell selection. And the first spell that we take at level 4, always Dimension Door. The first spell that you take at level 3, no matter what, is Fireball. It's just way too strong and useful to skip it. Level 2, the first spell that you take is probably going to be Scorch, just because by the time you get your first level 2 spell, Scorch is such a great jump in DPS. Like, you can kill a lot of stuff with Scorch. However, there is another way to look at that. Based on your gear, if you got the Anchor Chain from the Salt Marsh, where we are now, Snowball Storm is a great spell. You also want to take Web, obviously, because that is a CC, and then you want to get Knock. That will open locks for you. So the problem with Scorch is that it's fire. And if you throw down a web and then do fire, the webs are burned up. So one of the things I really like about Snowball Swarm is it's an AoE and it does not interfere with your CC. And it's very important to get monsters CC'd, right? We know that. So unless you're running with a group that, or if you decided that you really didn't want to use Web, then you can go into your fire spells. But otherwise, what I would do is just Web and do Snowball Swarm. Now, what you'll notice when you start throwing out webs, if you're pugging at all, you will notice that people will throw fire and burn up all your webs anyway, which is why I love Color Spray, because it's sort of idiot-proof in the sense that you can color spray things, and no matter what anybody else does, it's locked down. You don't have to worry about it. Whereas with something like Web, you throw it down and some doofus, some other doofus sorcerer, fire sorcerer, blows it all away instantly. And you can do that yourself. Like I just said, it's really easy to throw Web and then to throw a fireball and blow up your own web. So, I mean, I've done that a lot. So what we are going to do for the purposes of our playthrough to see how this plays, we're going to do Web and Snowball Swarm. And as a result of that, I have on, one of the things I'm wearing is the Ring of Winter's Chill, which gives us a boost to our cold damage. But I also, in my backpack, have the Ring of Summer's Heat. And so what we can do is we can do like a DPS check, and we'll see what the fireball damage is, what the scorch damage is while we wear the Ring of Summer Heat. To see, because maybe it's better to just obliterate everything with fireball as opposed to trying to CC it with web and then snowball storm it. So we're going to try that out. The other thing too, first level spell, really it's up to you. A lot of people will take, like, their first few spells will be Expedious Retreat to help them run, or Jump. I think Jump is really important to have always, because jumping in this game can save your life. Having Shield is important to get Magic Missile immunity. We use You've Got My Back, so we're permanently immune to Magic Missiles, but if for some reason you didn't have that yet, or you weren't building that way, you need to have either Shield or Night Shield. And then while Sonic Blast got nerfed into Oblivion and is no longer really useful unless you just want to do single target Sonic damage, it still does an AoE to break boxes. So I always take it just because it's still useful to throw it, to throw it out to break a bunch of boxes. Tumble is good, especially for hardcore, because this will add +10 to your tumbling. And your damage when you fall is calculated based on your tumble skill. So if you, for some reason, didn't have Featherfall, having Tumble and casting it on yourself would keep you alive longer if you fell or if you did any falling. It also allows you to, once you get it high enough, you can tumble leaping backwards and forwards and side to side. So it's pretty cool. I usually always take it. However, I do have a source of Featherfall on. I'm not just relying on that. Displacement is always good to have to fight champions or bosses. And then our enhancements, based on how we set up our abilities, we can pick any of these elemental damage types because of Eldritch Knight. Really, at low level in DDO, pretty much everything is hurt by fire. There are some monsters that are immune to it. Normally, I think acid is probably the best, simply because probably the least amount of monsters are immune to it, and it would still damage like trolls and oozes and things like that. But you could always, you don't have to just pin one of them. You can, of course, pin them all. And if you update your cores, this is important to know, which you probably do know, but let's say I added points in here and you want to recopy all these over to your bar. So if anytime you do updates to your build, you want to recopy all of these abilities, because sometimes they change. And when they change, they're not updated on the bar. So you want to make sure that you update. But so we could make it so that we can select, just on the fly. Normally I run with acid. Obviously play however you may like, ice or something more. Again, we did human versatility defense, plus 10 action boost to armor class, and plus 10 PRR for 20 seconds. Low level heroic questing, plus 10 armor class is a ton of armor class. Plus 10 PRR is a ton of PRR in low level heroics. So there's really nothing better, unless you were on like a build where you really needed extra skill points or something. There's really no other better selection for this first human versatility here. It's just so good as a defensive. And then we are also using 2 points in Don't Count Me Out, which extends our unconsciousness range by 10 and gives us more PRR should our health fall below 50%. Now, that's really not a ton, but having an extra helps. Every bit helps. We, of course, want to get another point into this, have it at 3, so we can go to 20 points. Right now, our points are very spread out. We only had 26 to spend. As an undead, I'm spending 6. To get color spray, I'm spending 11. To get spell sword, I'm spending 6. So really, this is like at level 7, this is where you're going to be unless you've modified it. And the order to do this in, you cannot get color spray until level 6. So you'd probably want to be a lich as soon as you could. That would probably be the first order of business. Unless you were soloing a lot and you really wanted to be able to swing your stick and hit things for spell sword damage. But my perspective is the immunity that you get and the benefit you get from being an undead, it just way outstrips anything else that even comes close to it, because you are now immune to disease, you're immune to poison, you're immune to energy drain, you have permanent death block, it just covers so many things that you would want to worry about on Hardcore League, that I think being a lich at level 3, I think that's as early as you can get it, is the priority. Then get your color spray, and then get your DPS for swinging. Really, you're only worried about swinging your weapon if you're caught alone or if you're doing a lot of soloing or something like that. And then, so let's quickly look at the gear. The gear is a little bit different. So Queen's Scepter, the Halosphere Orb is from the Feywild, and that is a really good item for a wizard, especially since we're a necromancer. This gives us +4 intelligence. It gives us +1 on the caster level of illusion and necro. Gives us a boost to our nullification, which is our necrotic energy. Gives us a boost to impulse, which is any force. You cannot be good aligned to use this item, which I'm not. I believe I'm lawful neutral. And then the armor I'm wearing is the Leaf Mail. It's the caster light armor. I'm not proficient with light armor, but I'm wearing it anyway. I've got a 10% spell fail. Oh, actually, I think I am proficient with it because I don't see the thing, but I still have the 10% fail. So you can see like that on things that I go to cast will say there's a 10% chance that they may fail. But I've got the Cloak of Winter. Cloak of Winter has Life Sealed, which is a version of Death Block. It's one of those things where, because it counts as Death Block, I don't need to wear the bracers. I have been wearing Death Block bracers, but I don't need to because I get Death Block here. So, but I did swap out for the Green Dragon Scale bracers, which are probably best in slot for a caster. And you can wear those bracers, these level 5 Green Dragon Scale bracers. You can wear them all the way up to level 29. They're that good. Our belt is the Black Dragon Scale Tacit. Anytime we kill something, we will get a haste cast on us. The gloves are the Gloves of Tranquility that give us Blur and Regenerate. 2 really useful abilities for the Hardcore League. The Quelling Strike's nice, the Magic Sheltering nice, but really what we care about on Hardcore, Yellow Slot, Blurry, Regenerate. Those are the 3 reasons to go farm for that item. This here, even though we're not wisdom based, it helps because having a high wisdom will make our will saving throw higher, and it gives us a bonus on our armor class, +3 rough hide, +4 natural armor. And like I said, I have the Ring of Winter's Chill on, and then the other ring I have is the Nocturne ring, which is probably one of the best rings in the Feywild. True Seeing permanently on you, and an Insightful Fortification, which improves your fortification, which really is great. Now my fortification is 135, which is not perfect, but at level 7, that's fantastic. And I am wearing the Necklace of Bottled Sunlight, which makes me immune to exhaustion, and I also have the Crown of Snow, which is the best in slot caster helmet. Our stats are pretty good. Insightful Reflex has made our reflex save 20. My intelligence is almost a 30. I will have this build posted, but you can see we use Insightful Reflexes. We're using Toughness, Maximize, Quicken, and then we also have Mental Toughness and Improved Mental Toughness to get more mana. Gale is wearing this is the 1750 helm. This is the 10 Reaper Point cloak. This is the 20 Reaper Point pet right there. And we have what was 5k favor horse, which is this Celestial mount, which we're not sure yet what they're going to do. Are they going to keep the event as it originally was, a 3-month event with a 5k favor horse, or are they going to reduce the event to 2 months and make that horse for 3,000 favor? That they have done that. So we'll see. They have not yet announced what they're going to do for Hardcore League Season 9, but the whole point of these videos is to give you guys ideas, to help prepare, to think about what you might do. And we've said this many times before if you've watched any of the previous videos. The most important aspect of you preparing for Hardcore League is to make a list of your goals. You want to know your goals. Now, whether you actually need to make a physical list, I don't know. That's up to you. Some people are list makers, right? But some people can just keep that list in their head. But the point is, you want to really know what it is that you're going to Hardcore League for. Maybe you're just going to hang out with friends. Maybe you're going because you want to do something new and you're bored on the live servers. Maybe you really want the level 20 cloak. Maybe you really love this cloak that you see here. This is 10 Reaper points. And you want to basically play for that. Or maybe you love this helmet. This is the 1750 helmet. And you want to get that. Or maybe you were in love with the horse. Whatever it is, maybe you want it all. Maybe you want all the rewards. I love the Archonling. This is my favorite pet. I use it all the time. So for me, it was worth doing the 20 Reaper points to get that because I love it. It's my favorite. So it just depends. And knowing that going in is going to make it so much easier for you to get your goals done. Okay, so what we're going to do, same strategy that we've been doing. We are going to gather everything up and CC it, color spray it, and then we're going to try our ice. That's the snowball swarm. So it looks like it's hitting pretty well. And then what we'll do is we'll clean up stragglers with swinging our spell sword. you know, swinging our Queen Scepter. Color spray these guys, hit them with a snowball swarm, and then clean them up with the scepter. So that you can see the damage is pretty good. If I just hit this dude with the Queen Scepter, the damage on Spell Sword is pretty good. You know, that's why we did what we did. Because, you know, we have 86% mana, but if you run out of mana, you need to be able to keep yourself alive. I mean, Hardcore League is brutal. You may be in a bad situation, so you want to make sure that you have a solution for whatever the problem is. And if the problem is that you ran out of mana, well, you need to be able to still defend yourself, especially if you're getting chased by nasty champions or anything like that. So while it's really nice to be able to do that snowball swarm damage, we don't want to just rely on that. So having that, you can see the Spell Sword acid damage that's tacked onto that is pretty good. Another spell that we have in our arsenal is Phantasmal Killer. We get that at level 7. It's a level 4 spell. And I have it quickened. I can just cast it, and you can see that's, if he fails the saving throws, it's an insta-kill. My DCs are not super high, so the DC on that is a 27. But, you know, it's nice to have. If you're running in a group, you can PK monsters, and then that would eliminate, especially if you like singled out a champion and PK'd the champion. So we're just going to basically kill these monsters by conserving mana and swinging our Spell Sword, using our Eldritch Knight. Do the same thing. I'm going to try to gather all these up. Color spray them. The other thing we have from Eldritch Knight is our Cleave. And you can see that does a pretty decent amount of damage. It does a little burst of acid, and that will change based on the Spell Sword damage type that you choose. If you choose fire, if you choose ice, if you choose electricity. So, you know, as an example, since we're wearing this Ring of Winter's Chill, we'll do Frost and see if we get any more damage. The ability is this Eldritch Strike. The attack hits your weapon and releases a blast of magical energy, dealing an extra 1 to 2 force damage per character level to all nearby foes. Well, our ring is glaciation and kinetic, which is force damage. So let's, you know, maybe that will greatly enhance our Eldritch Strike. So we'll try it. Color spray them. Yeah, see, so you can see Snowball Swarm hits really, really good. Like, I love it. It's a great spell. The other thing that we want to experiment with is to see how, with the Ring of Summer's Heat, so I'm switching to it, so now I'm in the Ring of Summer's Heat, how our Scorch would do. So we'll see the damage on this guy here. So it's okay. That was 100. That was another 100. So we'll try grouping everything up with a color spray and then hitting it with a fireball and seeing what kind of damage that does. Alright, so I've got everything color sprayed, and here's the fireball. It did 100, 200. Hit that again. Yeah, oh, that one did almost 300. So, I mean, it's not terrible. Switch to fire damage on my spell sword. Let's see what we can do with this Scorch. Oh, that was my arcane spell fail. 100. No, he saved. He only took 50. That one, we got stuck in some lag. Yeah, I can't move right now. Okay, so that also did 50. Right, so all things being equal, right, we'll do another fireball just to test it out. Gather these all up. The color spray. And then we'll fireball. I saw one for almost 400, 300. And that just killed everything. Between 1 and 300 damage, it looks like, from the fireball. Which is really good. Let's go back to the frost. So now we're back in frost. That means we're going to snowball swarm. We're just going to see, we're going to color spray these, and we're going to see what our damage is on these with the snowball swarm. So that one's a little over 300. That was 200. So it looks like the damage for fireball and snowball swarm are very similar. It doesn't look like it would matter either way. So, you know, it depends. Whatever you can farm, whatever you like to play, probably would work. If you farm and you get the Ring of Summer Heat, well, then I'd say do fire. The only thing that we talked about earlier is that if you do fire, you can't do web. But I think that it's totally viable to do either. There's also the Ring of Decay that you can get out there where you can do acid and necrotic damage. And likely that also is a great choice once we were to get Death Aura. Probably the Ring of Falls Decay would be something that we would want to consider wearing because we would run with Death Aura on and then switch our damage to acid because that Ring of Falls Decay does acid, you know, boost acid, and then we could do acid blast instead of fireball. You know, so we have our Death Aura running, we're doing acid blast, we've got our spell sword and acid. So that would allow you to do that. So it's basically going to be like how you play Gale, how you play this build is going to be largely based on, you know, how successful you are with the gear that you're running with. You know, like were you able to farm a Crown of Snow? Were you able to farm an Anchor Chain? Like whatever it is that you get, you know. I definitely think going after the Ring of Fall Decay is a good thing to farm for on the Hardcore League. The other thing too is that with our Charisma, our chance to activate this Cure Serious wand, because I'm using UMD, is 50%, and that's really good considering. You know, that means that we have some self-heals that we can, you know, if we need to, we can heal ourselves. It's important to be able to have an ability to heal. You know, not only to do CC or AoE, like we just did, but also to be able to heal yourself. So you can see chance to activate 50%. And that's because, you know, our starting stats are, we start with the 12 Charisma. I'm wearing a necklace that gives me Charisma. And look at that. I got them all. There's a lot of lag, though, because I'm casting my spells and it's, you know, nothing is happening. But we got a really good color spray because we hit them all. This Night Rebels candy chest, they're hardly even worth opening. One piece of chocolate, really. So let's heal ourselves a little bit. Yeah, so I was showing you. So with this Necklace of Bottled Sunlight, my Charisma is 19, and also the skills I'm running. We have 5 in UMD, so our UMD right now is 17, which is low, but, I mean, you know, all we need to be able to do is just spot heal ourselves until we get the necrotic energy, like Negative Energy Burst, Death Aura, So this is an optional fight. I don't know. I think I have to knock this chest in order to open it. I think. One of the great things about having Phantasmal Killer is that you can try it. I failed. That water Ellie made it save, but we are going to just spell sword them down. And so this chest, I should be able to knock it. Oh, maybe. Oh, I got it on a... Yeah. I got it. Great. So knock is really useful to have. I mean, you may be running in a group that has a trapper, but why not? Why not be able to open it yourself?
Now, to destroy one more Sahuagin tribe. You don't see any
Early single target is Phantasmal Killer. Later, because we're taking Necrotic specifically, we'll be doing Finger of Death and Circle of Death and things like Wail of the Banshee. You know, this build sort of gets really fun later on, but early, we can hit things with Phantasmal Killer like that, and it's dead. Really useful to have to try to PK champions. You cannot PK, you know, purple names or bosses, right? But champions, if they don't have Death Ward, you can get them. And then I have not been throwing web a lot. But it certainly is part of the arsenal to use. Get myself healed up here. I just failed that. I'm gonna actually throw down a web. I failed that. Alright, so there's our web. That might help us a little bit. And there's the color spray. There's the snowballs. Get in the middle of them and do my AoE cleave. Okay, now they're all dead. I hit him with a... He saved versus my PK, which is to be expected. You know, I'm not min-maxed to get my DC as high as absolutely possible. But, you know, I mean, it's good. It's in a good spot. Okay, so for this fight, I'm going to throw displacement on myself. I'm going to open with a web. I'm going to hit them with color spray. I'm going to get in here. I'm going to do my defense boost. And then I'm going to snowball swarm. And there's lag. I'm seeing a bunch of lag, like casting these abilities and they're not hitting. I'm going to try to PK the water weird, which I got. And then I'll give these people another color spray. That didn't work. For this dude, we're just gonna beat him down with our spell sword. So we were able to PK the water weird. I wonder what nightmare water weirds have. I got an anchor chain, so this is great if you were doing the cold snowball swarm, running around with your frost damage. This is a great item, level 3. You can also update this at level 20 using the hay that you find out here, and then wear it into epics. If you decided you wanted to do Reapers, you could wear an epic anchor chain, which is a fantastic item for a caster. So completely like viable, and this wizard build necromancer goes all the way into epics. You can PK things and finger things and do Wail of the Banshee in legendary content. I'll have the build posted with all of the, you know, the end game selections, but one of the reasons that I'm making these videos is to show you sort of like the gameplay and the ideas behind how you would start off and what you're going to do while you're leveling up, and how the build is a little bit different than where it winds up at the end. So any questions, please feel free to write and ask me comments, And I hope that you guys enjoy it. It's fun, and I'll see you for the next build.